You ever notice how life doesn't just fall into place unless you put real effort into it every single day? The truth is, success, confidence, peace of mind, none of it is built in a moment. It's built in small daily actions that compound over time. And if you want a better life, you've got to get intentional about what you're working on. So today, I want to give you 10 things you must work on every single day. These aren't complicated, they're practical things that, when stacked day after day, shape who you become. Discipline is the foundation that everything else in life rests upon, because without it, nothing else can consistently hold its place. It is the ability to follow through even when your emotions want to pull you in a different direction. It is what keeps you moving forward on the days when motivation has disappeared and on the days when comfort looks more attractive than progress. People often think success is about talent, luck, or timing. But the truth is, those things only get you so far. What really separates people who build something meaningful from those who don't is discipline. It is the quiet force that happens behind the scenes when nobody is watching and nobody is cheering. It is waking up early when you would rather sleep. It is staying late to finish what you said you would finish. It is making the hard choice in the moment because you know it will lead to the better outcome later. Discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It is about loving yourself enough to hold yourself accountable to the person you want to become. Think about it this way: every single day, you are given choices, small decisions that look ordinary but stack up into extraordinary outcomes. And every time you choose discipline over distraction, you strengthen a muscle that gets harder and harder to break. If you say you are going to work out and you actually do it, you are building trust with yourself. If you commit to finishing a project and you see it through, even when it's boring, you are building resilience. If you decide to save money instead of spending it on something quick and flashy, you are creating stability. These little acts of discipline are not glamorous. They don't usually feel exciting, but they shape who you are and what your future looks like. Discipline also creates freedom. It sounds like a contradiction, but it's true, because the more disciplined you are in the important areas of your life, the more freedom you gain in the long run. If you are disciplined with your health, you have the freedom to enjoy life without being held back by sickness. If you are disciplined with your finances, you have the freedom to make choices without being trapped by debt. If you are disciplined with your time, you have the freedom to spend it on what actually matters instead of scrambling to catch up. Discipline might feel restrictive in the moment, but it actually gives you more control over your life instead of letting circumstances control you. Another important part of discipline is learning how to handle your emotions. Discipline does not mean you won't feel lazy, tired, frustrated, or tempted. It means you don't let those emotions make the decision for you. Your feelings are temporary, but the results of your actions last far longer. Discipline is choosing the action that matches your long-term values instead of your short-term moods. It is telling yourself no when it is easier to say yes. It is doing what is necessary, even if it feels uncomfortable. And every time you practice that, you build strength. Just like lifting weights in the gym, every rep makes you stronger. People who live with discipline don't rely on waiting for the perfect moment. They know the perfect moment doesn't exist. They act now. They take the step today. They move forward when conditions are messy because they understand that consistency is more important than perfection. If you only act when you feel ready, you will miss most of your opportunities. But if you act with discipline, you create momentum that carries you even when you don't feel ready. The truth is, discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you build through repetition. You train it by showing up over and over again, and the more you practice it, the easier it becomes the same way. Brushing your teeth every day becomes a habit. Discipline can become second nature. It starts small with one decision, then another, until it becomes part of who you are. And once discipline becomes part of your identity, you no longer ask yourself if you are going to do the right thing. You simply do it. Would you like me to now expand Keynote No to the same way into a 600-word flow just like this one? Mindset is the lens through which you see the entire world, and it is one of the most powerful forces shaping your daily reality. because the way you think determines how you feel and how you act. If your mindset is fixed on negativity, then even small problems feel like impossible walls to climb. But if your mindset is trained to look for growth, then even setbacks can become lessons that move you forward. People often underestimate how much power their thoughts carry. They assume life is happening to them, but in reality, life is filtered through the way they choose to think. Two people can face the same challenge. One will crumble and one will rise, and the difference between them is not luck, it is mindset. The truth is, you cannot control everything that happens around you, but you can always control how you interpret it and how you respond. A healthy mindset is not about pretending that bad things don't happen. It is about deciding not to let those things control you. It is refusing to be a prisoner of your circumstances and choosing to be the driver of your response. When you tell yourself you cannot do something, your brain will stop looking for ways to achieve it. But when you tell yourself there must be a solution, your brain will start to work on finding one, and that shift in thought is where growth begins. Mindset also affects your confidence. If you constantly tell yourself you are not good enough or that others are better, you build a ceiling over your own potential. But when you remind yourself that every skill is learnable and every failure is temporary, you unlock the courage to try again. Your confidence grows, not from perfection, but from your willingness to keep moving forward, even when you are unsure if you will succeed. This kind of mindset is what separates those who chase their goals from those who settle for less. Another piece of mindset is gratitude, because when you train your mind to notice what is good, even in small ways, you build resilience against negativity. It does not mean ignoring problems. It means choosing not to let problems overshadow everything else. A grateful mindset allows you to experience more joy in the present moment, and joy fuels persistence when you find reasons to be thankful. Each day you strengthen your mental resilience, and it becomes harder for negativity to control you. Mindset also determines the relationships you build. When you approach others with judgment, criticism, or comparison, your connections become shallow and filled with tension. But if your mindset is focused on understanding, learning, and valuing people, your relationships grow stronger and more supportive. This is important because the people around you often mirror back the energy you bring into the room. A positive mindset can shift not only your own experience, but the atmosphere around you. When it comes to goals, your mindset can either pull you closer to them or push them further away. If your mindset is fixed, you will believe that your abilities are set in stone and you will stop trying as soon as things get difficult. But if your mindset is growth-oriented, you understand that struggle is part of progress and that skill and strength are built through effort. This belief keeps you moving when others quit. It keeps you practicing when others walk away. It keeps you reaching higher when others settle. Mindset is built through what you feed your brain every day. The books you read, the conversations you have, the content you consume, the way you talk to yourself, all of it is shaping how you see the world and how you see yourself. You cannot expect to grow a strong mindset if you constantly surround yourself with negativity, doubt, and fear. But when you intentionally feed your mind with knowledge, encouragement, and challenge, you create the conditions for strength and clarity. A strong mindset is not about never struggling. It is about choosing not to stay stuck. It is about noticing when your thoughts are spiraling into fear or doubt and pulling them back toward focus and hope. It is about catching yourself when you say, "I can't," and replacing it with, "How can I?" It is about refusing to let the voice of fear or comparison make the decisions for you. And every single time you do this, you sharpen your mindset, you build mental toughness, and you strengthen the foundation for everything else in your life. Communication is one of the most important skills you can work on every single day, because the way you express yourself and the way you listen to others shapes almost every area of your life, your career, your relationships, your friendships, your opportunities. They are all influenced by how well you communicate. Yet so many people overlook it. They think communication is just about talking, but it goes far deeper than that. It is about clarity, respect, connection, and understanding. When you know how to communicate well, you can turn conflict into collaboration, you can turn confusion into clarity, and you can turn distance into connection. Good communication starts with listening. Most people think they are good listeners, but the truth is, many only wait for their turn to speak. Listening means you are not just hearing words, but actually trying to understand the meaning behind them. It means paying attention to tone, body language, and emotions. It means giving someone space to be heard without immediately jumping in with advice or judgment. When you listen this way, people feel valued and understood, and that changes the dynamic of the relationship, because at the core of communication is not just words, it is trust. The other part of communication is clarity. Too often we speak in half-truths or vague ideas, expecting people to understand what we mean without actually saying it directly. Clarity is power, because when you are clear in what you want or what you mean, you reduce misunderstandings and you set healthy boundaries. If you want respect in your relationships or in your work, you need to communicate with precision instead of assuming people will just know what you mean. Vague communication creates confusion, but clear communication creates confidence and direction. Another key part of communication is tone, because it is not just what you say, but how you say it. You can deliver the same words with anger and create conflict, or with calmness and create cooperation. You can say no in a way that shuts a door, or in a way that keeps respect intact. The tone you use is often remembered more than the exact words you spoke, and when you practice controlling your tone, you gain the ability to de-escalate situations and strengthen the connections around you. Communication is also about honesty and authenticity. When you pretend to be someone you are not, when you hide what you really mean, or when you try to manipulate people with your words, eventually it catches up to you. Honesty creates a foundation where people know they can trust you. And authenticity means you are not playing a role. You are simply being yourself. People are drawn to realness because it is rare in a world where so many put on masks. Equally important is the courage to communicate the difficult things. Many people avoid hard conversations because they fear conflict or rejection. But avoiding truth does not protect relationships. It slowly erodes them. Being able to communicate disappointment, frustration, or boundaries in a respectful but firm way is one of the most valuable skills you can build, because it creates respect both for yourself and from others. It shows that you are willing to address issues instead of hiding from them, and that willingness makes your connections stronger, even if the conversation is uncomfortable in the moment. Communication is not only about talking to others, it is also about how you talk to yourself. The words you repeat in your head become the beliefs you live by. If you constantly communicate negativity to yourself, if you tell yourself you are not enough or that you always fail, you eventually start living out those beliefs. But if you train yourself to speak encouragement, discipline, and truth into your own mind, you strengthen your confidence and resilience. Self-talk is a form of communication that shapes every other interaction you have. Finally, communication is about influence. Every word you speak has the power to build or to break. The people around you carry the weight of what you say long after you have left the room. And when you use communication to encourage, to inspire, and to guide, you create a ripple effect that reaches far beyond that one moment. This is why working on communication every day matters, because your words are never neutral. They are always building something, and the more intentional you are with them, the more powerful they become. Consistency is the quiet force that separates those who wish for change from those who actually experience it. It is not about doing something once or twice when it feels good. It is about showing up day after day, even when there is no applause, even when there is no visible progress, even when it feels boring or repetitive. Most people underestimate the power of consistency because they look for big results instantly, but real growth never comes overnight. It comes from small, steady actions repeated over time. The people who achieve mastery in any field are rarely the most talented from the beginning. They are simply the ones who kept showing up when others quit. Consistency builds momentum, and momentum is what carries you forward on the days when your energy is low or when motivation is nowhere to be found. It turns habits into a lifestyle because once something becomes part of your rhythm, it takes less effort to keep going. Consistency also compounds just like money in a savings account. When you invest a little bit regularly, the growth multiplies over time, and suddenly you look back and realize the small steps you kept taking every day have led you miles ahead of where you started. This is why so many give up too soon. They plant the seed, but do not water it long enough to see the roots take hold. Consistency also builds trust with yourself and with others. When you consistently keep the promises you make to yourself, like going to the gym, eating healthy, waking up on time, or working on your goals, you create evidence in your own mind that you can rely on yourself, and that evidence is what builds self-confidence. Confidence is not built on random moments of success. It is built on consistency in the small actions that align with the person you want to be. And when other people see that you are consistent, they learn to trust you too, because consistency is proof of reliability. Anyone can show up once, anyone can do something when it is convenient, but it takes character to keep showing up when it is hard. Another important part of consistency is how it turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Many people wait for perfect conditions before they begin. They think they need more time, more resources, or more clarity, but perfection is not the key to growth. Showing up consistently is when you practice every day. Even if it is messy, you improve. When you make small progress every day, it adds up, and one day, what was once difficult becomes natural skills. Sharpen habits, strengthen, and results appear because consistency has been at work in the background. Consistency is also directly connected to discipline because without discipline, consistency cannot survive. There will always be days when you do not feel like putting in the effort, but consistency means you show up anyway. Even if the effort is smaller than usual, it is not about being perfect every day. It is about refusing to quit. It is about reminding yourself that one bad day does not erase the progress you have built. Consistency gives you the ability to keep going despite setbacks because it is rooted in persistence, not perfection. When you are consistent, you also train others how to view you in relationships, in business, in friendships. People pay attention to patterns. If you are consistent in your actions and your words, people begin to see you as dependable. If you are inconsistent, they see you as unpredictable and unreliable. Your consistency sets the tone for how others interact with you and the opportunities you are trusted with. The beautiful thing about consistency is that it is available to anyone. You do not need to be the smartest or the fastest or the most talented. You only need to keep showing up and keep practicing. It is a decision to value long-term progress over short-term comfort. And it is in those daily choices that real transformation happens because consistency is what bridges the gap between where you are now and where you want to be.